Howdy folks, and today we're looking at how to paint Chameleon Skinks. So to start off with, you just want to prime your models with the Chaos Black, use the GW version, and then what we want to do is use a dark green from Vallejo. We're just sort of using that as a base green. We're doing the first highlight with pale green, also from Vallejo, and we're just doing all of those colours through an airbrush. After we've done that, we're going to be using Escorpena green, just right from above, basically, and that's also from Vallejo range. So, and I think you get quite a nice green for the Chameleon Skinks, you know, sort of the classic colour for them. The stone bits we're going to be colouring, I think there's like on 3 models or something, and there's going to be sea grey from Vallejo. You can do a further highlight using barley grey on those. I believe I'm actually doing it right here. So yeah, that's I believe those 2 colours are really good for any stones. Now any of the wood bits, and we're going to be using charred brown as the base colour. An alternative that you could use is Rhinox hide from GW. So all the golden parts, you know, they're like armour, they're bracelets, and there's a couple of bits dangling off them, so we're just using Retributor armour. It's a nice and solid gold from Games Workshop, and I think it works really well on these models. The blowpipe itself, we're doing Rhinox hide. After we've done the Rhinox hide, we're going back in with Retributor armour and just putting some details into our blowpipe. The tongues on the Chameleon Skinks, I think there's only a couple of them that you'll have to do, and we're using Woolblock purple for those. Now you can use any other alternative that you like, but I need it to match with the rest of my army, so that's the colour I'm using. Now for the shield, I've got one bloke with a shield, so I just painted it black, did a white highlight, and then used fire red, so it matches with the rest of my shields on my other skinks that I have. Skulls, nails, and any bony bits, so it could be like teeth or any bony growths that they have coming out of their neck. We've used Andrew Dust from Vallejo, sorry, not Vallejo, Games Workshop. And the leather bits, we are using Doomball Brown. And any sort of pouches that they have or anything, you can colour it in that colour. So over our Retributor armour, we are now applying Reichland Flesh Shade all over any of the gold parts, and that will really start to bring the model to life. Now I've got several squads of these buggers, but in this instance I've decided to do blue frogs on this squad specifically, and I am using Calidor Sky from GW. At this stage I've decided to do the basing as well, so what you do is you apply the sand, or you apply some PVA, put the sand over the top, you leave it to dry for 24 hours, and then after you've done that, you dip it into a 50-50 mix of PVA and water. You let that dry again for 12 to 24 hours, and then I have used Rhinox hide with an airbrush, but you can apply this with just a normal brush all over the base. We also ended up doing a highlight of Beastie Brown from Vallejo. So here I've just decided to put a glaze all over the scaly bits. In my instance I've used Waywatcher Green, but they don't make it anymore. So an alternative that you can do is get a Phonian camo shade, thin that down, and just apply it all over the scales. The dry brush on the base we are doing with Tyrant Skull from Games Workshop. Another thing to point out is the fact that you want to be working, a squad at a time on these. It will really speed up the process. So when we're showing one model, I'd recommend you work on 5 or 10 at the same time. So for the rim of the base, I've decided to use a black to match the rest of my army. And in this instance, this black is from Games Workshop and it's a Baden black. So here we're just applying some tufts and grass to our bases, just dabbing a bit of PVA on the tufts and then sticking it down on the base with your finger. I've also decided to add some like a different type of flock, just to give a bit of variety to the bases so they don't all look the same. So I've got 2 different types of flock on there. Now our plants, we got, obviously when we were painting the green, we got green on them, and here I'm just using some Aphonian camo shade just to shade the plants in. Using Agrax Earthshade, thin down, we're just applying that to all of our leather parts as well as the head crest. And for the string, I am using Doomball Brown. It's once again to match with the rest of my army, but you can literally use any other colour that you like. So whatever your colour scheme is for your army. If it was Rhinox Hide, you just do Rhinox Hide across your entire army. Here I'm doing a highlight of Ushapti Bone, and we're doing the highlight on any of the areas like the nails and any of the like the bony parts that are coming out their cheeks and stuff. So the gold, we're doing the first highlight now, and we're using Auric Armor Gold from Games Workshop, sorry. After we've done the first coat, we're using Liberator Gold to do a second highlight on the gold. And I don't really do the highlights on, I don't do highlights from all of my models. So I usually just pick a colour or 2, and then I just end up going in with those colours and do the appropriate highlights. So in this instance, the final highlight for the gold is Stormhost Silver. And we're just applying that on sort of the sharpest edges, or where the sun would end up hitting the model. Now the eyes on the skulls. We're using Corn Red as the first base colour. So they're meant to be like rubies, I guess. So yeah, the second layer is Mephiston Red. A third one will be Vermilion, and after we've done the third layer, the fourth and final highlight will be Hot Orange. And after we've done that, we will do a white dot in the upper right corner, like we've done with the other gems in our previous videos, and it really makes the gems come to life then. I think it's quite a simple and nice way to do it, and I highly recommend you try it out. For the eyes, I have used Avalon Sunset once again to match the rest of my army. It's really important for an army like this to keep using the same colours, so you're basically got a theme going, so even if the skin colours are all different, it doesn't really matter. So for the eyes, we used Agrax Earthshade, so we just shaded them in, we thinned it down and just put it in in the recesses of the eyes. And here we're just doing a dry brush on all the skulls that we've had, and we're using tyrant skull for those. So thank you very much for watching the video. This was a quick guide on how to paint chameleon skinks. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed, put a like or a comment down. It really helps with the algorithm. Thanks very much. Bye bye.